What brings you to fight? To wage war against the people of the lands? Is it for the thrill? To seek the rush of endorphins in times of death? Is it a goal? To become the mightiest of them all? Or is it for peace? To end a vicious cycle of violence and eternal strife? For Temujin, it is this and some more. Temujin is a young man, part of a small nomadic tribe, one of the many that reside in Mongolia. As the older brother to the chief of the tribe, Temujin bears many responsibilities, and this is where we get to learn of his tribe's situation. Plagued by endless war from other tribes, because of his late father being too ambitious, his half-brother, Bekta, now the chieftain, decides to renounce war and instead strive to live peaceful lives. We see Borta, Temujin's soon-to-be wed, and Temujin discussing this late at night, and we get to see a glimpse of Temujin's true nature. As he gazes at the starry sky, he fervently wishes for there to be a way for his people to live happily and peacefully forever. Yet at the same time, he holds his own ambitions. Reminiscing to a time with his father, he remembers his pivotal words: "Become the man who will unite Mongolia," and so he will. A fateful encounter with a deity that is beyond Earth's mortality, Fenrir, part of an ancestral body of metal that crashed upon the Earth eons ago, is a catalyst for pushing such ambition into a reality. She is the prophet that will guide him and make him realize his dreams come true, and she only asks one thing from him: to help her return to her homeland. The conflict that ensues between his tribe, the Kiad, and the Taichad, and the untimely death of his brother further drives his desperation to seek out his dream, to conquer and rule in peace. So Temujin makes his move. Amidst the chaos and disorder of the battle between the two tribes, Temujin uses himself as bait to lure the enemies towards him and away from his people. His hopes of escape and survival seem slim to none, and they are, for he is struck by an arrow that plunges him into the murky waters of the lake. And as he slowly sinks into its depths, he pleads for someone to save him, and then Fenrir appears. Temujin goes again to confront Bilge and his men, and this time, equipped with the ability to see the future, a gift from Fenrir, he defeats the general and his men. And so, as the rest of the tribe pack up and to leave before war settles among the lands, Temujin realizes that his goals are one step closer. After all, the world is smaller than it seems. Making alliances with the Kurak tribe is the first step to achieve world unification, and seems like the most logical choice. After all, his father was a blood brother of the chief. However, such hopes shrivel up as the group is captured and led towards the leader. And as they converse with the proxy head, they realize the futility of the situation that the tribe is in. Living in poverty with a target painted over their backs, they can do little to nothing to tear themselves free of the cycle that ends in bloodshed. But Temujin believes differently. He knows that unless they do something, the cycle will continue. Even after they die, the children and descendants will inherit this perpetual violence. And then Ghengis Khan awakens. Pointing a blade to Temujin's throat, he asks the question: "What shall you take? The woman or the horses?" In times of war, often it would be those two that would be the most valuable for the victorious tribe. Horses meant military might, and women meant an increase in the number and productivity of the tribe. But Temujin chooses none. Rather, he chooses a better option: to give everyone peace. He hates the Tichuid tribe. After all, they are responsible for plundering the land, but he hates the cycle of killing even more. Because of such archaic rules, poverty will undoubtedly reign free in these lands forever. So he'll fight, to change old minds, to create new rules, until this planet is united as one. And in that moment, Ghengis Khan knows that Yoshitsune and his son are the same. After all, it was Temujin's father who talked about abandoning those barbaric ways, and so he pledges his alliance to Temujin. Meanwhile, in the seas of Japan, a battle ensues. We get our first glimpse of another important individual, Minamoto Yoshitsune. A peerless swordsman, he has led his men to victory and has never lost once. Accompanying him is a mysterious woman, Shizuka, another deity, part of the ancestral body of metal that fell into the lands. But for now, as they set their sights on conquering the planet, there lies a far more pressing issue for Temujin, and that be the chief of the Tichiud tribe, the king of hatred, Tagatai Kurak. Monstrous man standing easily head and shoulders above any ordinary man, his penchant for violence and his brutal ways of killing makes him feared by even his retainers, and that man will be Temujin's next obstacle. Armed with Fenrir's knowledge and a new alliance, Temujin prepares for a long day ahead. With the Banko in his group, Tagatai's soldiers easily fall. However, Tagatai himself is a different story, as well as the woman accompanying him, a renowned archer from the Merkit tribe. In one fell swoop he kills one of the Banko, and in another he kills Zan, another one of them. The sun is rising, yet the Kurak tribe have not moved even a step, and so Temujin knows that for them to move, he must make Tagatai fall. But out of nowhere, Sorkan, a deserter of the Tichiud tribe, appears. Fueled by Temujin's faith in him, he rushes to aid Temujin, stabbing the huge man, but does nothing, for he dies under Tagatai's fist. And so Temujin charges and falls, but that is the future and not the present, and catching the man off guard, he spins behind him and pushes him off the cliff. A little anticlimactic, but it gets the job done. In the aftermath of the battle, Temujin consoles Sorkan's crying children, and gives his thanks to the heroes who gave up their lives to change Mongol's future. What they did must be praised. And Temujin will bring prosperity, and he will open the doors to the kingdom of heaven on earth. It is inevitable. The scene then switches to Yoshitsune arriving in Korea. Cutting down foes and gathering allies, he prepares to head towards the royal capital of Goryeo, Gyeong, to have an audience with the king. Proposing that he will need allies, he plans to conquer the entire world. After all, it is war he seeks, and war he shall find. Reciting lines like Temujin, he believes the world is smaller than it seems. 4 years pass, and now we see an older Temujin and Borta attending their wedding ceremony to the cheers of the family and friends. It seems that peace is just above the horizon, with talks about alliances between Temujin and the tribes of the west. However, the Merkit tribe still possesses a problem to them, and with false accusations being thrown left and right, it seems that conflict is inevitable. Meanwhile, in Chendo, Yoshitsune's war campaign has been very successful, and now he sets his sights on Mongolia, because he believes that no other man can beat him, except for himself. And with the threat of Temujin looming over the horizon, Yoshitsune decides to ally with the Merkit tribe. Preparations for the battle have already begun, with the men journeying towards the site of the presumed battlefield. However, more is going on. With the help of an undercover spy, Borta is kidnapped and held hostage by the leader of the Merkit tribe. And Temujin, upon relearning of this, realizes that there's no choice but to engage them on their terms. Khazar and his men are ambushed, and with arrows running down upon them, they can do nothing but charge towards the women on the hills, to find safe cover and to engage in close combat. And as Khazar duels with Rakizama and the Merkit tribe are defeated, Temujin's men encounter another obstacle as they prepare to close the distance with the men of the Merkit tribe, that be Ghengis Khan and his men, crossing the Great Wall. Pushing onwards towards Temujin, they finally encounter one another. Temujin with Fenrir by his side, and Yoshitsune, proclaimed Ghengis Khan with Shizuka by his side, and so they fight. Temujin's foresight allows him to understand how dangerous Yoshitsune is, and he parries his blow before countering, much to the shock and surprise of both Yoshitsune and his men. Exclaiming that there is no point in fighting, Temujin parries another strike with his shield before leaping up upon him, but he is wounded in the process. And now we realize that Shizuka has linked her power to Yoshitsune. It seems like Temujin's odds are slipping. Fenrir is wounded, and Temujin himself is in a poor state. As Yoshitsune prepares to deal the final blow, Bagute comes charging in, throwing a spear to Temujin, who parries the blow and delivers a fatal one himself to Yoshitsune, Then Yoshitsune finally realizes the futility of fighting Temujin. After all, he was not fighting another man by himself. He had passed his power to Temujin, and to do that meant something. So, for having killed him, he can have his name, Ghengis Khan. But all is not lost. Just like with Fenrir, Shizuka revives Yoshitsune from death, and so neither man won. Don't forget about me, I'll spread our world, Ghengis Khan's world. I'll make our world better, Ghengis Khan's world. Again, years pass and we see Borta now with her son, and then we see Temujin, now a grown man, talking to Fenrir. Fortunately for the both of them, they couldn't find a way for her to return to the stars. But a Mongolian man always returns a favor. If he can't do it, maybe his son can, and if he doesn't, his descendants will. Truth is that he died here once, and thanks to her, he is still alive, and it is her that helped him conceive the great Mongol nation. So, let's meet again, the one who would shake the earth.